Hi, this is Rika. Welcome to this class. This class is the 7th and therefore final class of our 7-week chakra journey. So today we're going to flow to our crown chakra, which is located on the top of our head. It's a connection to our higher self. It has to do a lot about spirituality, about our thoughts, about our mind itself, subconscious mind, conscious mind. And so sometimes when we feel like we have a lack of concentration or focus, when we tend to meditate too much, there might be an imbalance in our crown chakra. So today we're going to focus on balancing or activating that chakra with all the other 6 chakras as well. So we're going to do a whole combined flow where we have all chakras a little bit. We're going to ground, we're going to open our hips, we are going to engage our core to build the solar plexus chakra. We are going to open our heart, we are going to open our throat, and we're also going to activate the third eye, so focus a little bit on that. And of course, our crown chakra will be the main focus. We're going to come into some inversions, and yeah, it's going to be a special class. It's going to be fun. It's going to be playful, and I'm looking forward to practice with you. So let's get started. We will today get started in Shavasana, corpse pose. So I invite you to come lying down onto your mats. You can take your feet a little bit wider apart. Let your feet fall outward. Your arms are right next to your body, palms facing up. And then I invite you to take a few deep inhales and exhales here through your nose. And feel into the breath, into the airflow, into your body. Arrive in today's practice, arrive on the mat. And let go of any outside thought that might haunt you right now. In today's practice, we are going to, or I'm going to give you cues for all the asanas and transitions, but I'm going to try to not give you too much information, so you have a lot of time to focus on your mind, on your thoughts, and also listen to your body if you feel any tension or any sensation within your body. So we'll be focusing a lot on yourself, on your body, on your mind. And also now in this first few minutes we are going to do a silent meditation where I'm going to guide you in and out of it. But in between I invite you to notice your thoughts, notice your body. And whenever something comes up, just accept it and then let it go. The same way you inhale the air, you grasp the air, and then you let it go with your exhale. So before we get into that silent meditation today, maybe take your hands above your heart. Feel into the airflow in your chest. And set an intention for today's practice. Maybe something connected to your higher self, to your crown chakra. And then I invite you to close your eyes if you haven't already. Release your hands back to your sides. Take a deep breath here. Start to bring your awareness back towards your heart center. Towards your breath. And how the breath moves your body up and down. And then slowly start to move your fingers and toes. Maybe rotate your hands and feet. And then bend your knees towards your chest. Maybe hug your shins with your hands. If you want, lift your head towards your knees. And then come back all the way onto the mat with your head. Place your feet back onto the mat right behind your buttocks. Your heels a little bit wider apart than hip distance so that your hands can easily touch your heels. Now make sure that your hands and your arms are straight next to your body, grounding into the mat. So maybe you want to press your fingertips gently into the mat, the palms of your hand, your forearms, elbows, upper arms and shoulders. And with your inhale, start to slowly lift up your pelvic floor, your hips, and come into bridge pose. Setu Bandha Savangasana. Really feel the grounding of your arms and of your shoulders. Gently press your head into the mat behind you. Keep your neck elongated. Feel the engagement in your inner thighs, maybe in your glutes even. And then feel how the energy moves within your body, from your legs, moving downward, your spine to your heart, and all the way into your head, maybe to the top of your head, where your crown lies. Inhale, come a little bit higher with your hips. And with your exhale, slowly, vertebra by vertebra, come all the way back down onto the mat. Take a balancing breath here. And then start to bend your elbows so that your elbows are 90-degree angle. Your forearms with your upper arms. You can take your hands into a fist if you want, or you can point your fingertips towards the ceiling, but keep the energy inside by closing your fingers. And then wherever you are, again pressing gently your upper arms into the mat, your shoulders into the mat. And then start through the strength of your arms, lifting your hips up towards the ceiling. Coming back into a bridge pose variation. Now this time maybe you feel the shift of energy going more into the shoulders instead of into the arms. Maybe you feel the shift of energy from your hips towards your neck. Inhale, gently breathe a little bit more into your feet, into your upper arms and shoulders. And with your exhale, slowly come back down, vertebra by vertebra. Release your arms to your sides. Take a breath here. Now this time, lift your arms all the way straight up towards the ceiling, either creating the fists or your fingertips pointing upward, fingers together, and then feel the touching points of your shoulders in the mat. Ground them really gently into the mat. Use your strength. Ground your back of the head into the mat. And ground your feet into the mat, especially your toes. And then start to lift up again with your hips. At this time, maybe you feel a little bit more strength in your shoulders and in your neck and in the back of your head, the energy flowing into the crown. And if this is comfortable, then you can start to lift your heels up, come up onto your toes, lifting your knees a little bit higher, lifting your hips a little bit higher. Inhale, lift your hips. Exhale, slowly roll back down, vertebra by vertebra. Your hands or arms come last. Now bend your knees towards your chest. Maybe rock from side to side a little bit, releasing your lower back. And then find back stillness. Place your hands underneath your knees onto your shins. And now you can start rolling up, or you bring your feet towards the mat. And while you hold underneath your knees, your upper body is coming up as well. Place your feet onto the mat underneath you. So maybe a little bit wider than 45 or 90 degrees, something in between. Your hands are one hand distant behind you, fingertips pointing towards the front of the mat. Roll your shoulders back, your shoulder blades draw together. Press the fingertips into the mat, ground your feet into the mat, and with your inhale start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Now you can look towards the front to keep your neck upright, or you release your neck towards the back into your shoulders by looking up and back. Hold here for 3. Now with your next inhale, first look towards the front and then exhale your hips back down. Take a break here, maybe rotate your hands a little bit to release your wrists. And then we do this one more time. This time adding onto it a little bit. So place your hands behind you onto the mat, fingertips pointing towards the front, feet grounding into the mat. And then start lifting with your inhale, hips up. Maybe look front or release your head towards the back, opening up your throat here. Inhale here. And with your exhale, you lower your hips back down. And then bring your hips right in between your wrists, hovering above the mat. So you're not placing your legs onto the mat. You're really grounding your hands, so you're lifting through your hands. Your core is engaged. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come back to hover. Inhale up. Exhale, come to hover. Really press your heels into the mat, your toes pointing up. Inhale up. Exhale, hover. One more like this. Inhale up. Exhale, hover. Now with your inhale, come back up. Almost, but place your hips where you started off. So with your feet a little bit further away from your buttocks, take your hands onto your shins, underneath your knees again, and then start to roll back down onto the mat. Your knees come towards your chest. Maybe rock from side to side. And then place your feet right onto the mat behind your buttocks, slightly wider apart than hip distance again, so that your fingertips can easily touch your heels. Make sure your whole back is grounding into the mat, your whole spine. And now this time, start to lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Flex your foot. And then bend your knee and place your right ankle onto your upper thigh, right underneath your knee. Your right knee is pointing towards the outside, so you're opening up your hip here. And then bring your left knee towards your chest. Maybe you interlace your fingers around your shin or your upper thigh. And then gently bring your knee closer towards your chest. Maybe you use your breath to guide you here. Keep your right foot flexed. Inhale here. Now if you exhale, place your left foot back onto the mat. Keep your right leg where it is. And then ground your hands next to your body into the mat again. Ground your hands, your arms, your shoulders. Ground your left foot. And start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling into a bridge pose. Maybe lift your chest this time a little bit further towards your chin. Inhale higher. Or if you exhale, slowly lower back down. Release your right leg towards the ceiling first. And then back onto the mat next to your left foot. Maybe you need to adjust your stance again. Take your heels a little bit wider than hip distance. Make sure you can touch your heels with your fingertips. And then start to lift your left leg up straight towards the ceiling. Flex your foot. And then bend your knee and place your left ankle onto your right thigh. Your left knee is pointing outward. And then bring your right knee towards your chest, maybe interlacing your fingers around your shin or your thigh. Keep your left foot flexed. Move with your breath. Inhale here. Now if you exhale, place your right foot back onto the mat. Keep your left leg where it is. Ground your arms beside your body into the mat. And then start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling into this bridge pose variation. On this side, lift your chest a little bit further towards your chin. Inhale, lift higher. Now if you exhale, slowly come back down, vertebra by vertebra. When you reach the mat, then lift your left leg up towards the ceiling and place it back next to your right foot. Now take your knees towards your chest again. And then either start to roll up or guide up into a seated posture using maybe your core muscles a little bit. And then take your feet hip distance apart. Sit a little bit further back so you have a 45 to 90 degree angle between your buttocks or between your shins and your thighs. And then take your hands right behind your buttocks, fingertips pointing towards the front. We are coming into the reversed tabletop position again. So this time ground your fingertips, ground your palms of the hand, ground your feet, and then start to lift up your hips towards the ceiling. Look towards the front. And then start to lift your right leg up towards the ceiling, straight. Flex your foot, and then place your ankle onto your left thigh. So we're coming into figure 4 position again. Now you can keep looking towards the front, or again release your head towards the back. Keep lifting your hips up. Inhale here. And with your exhale, slowly lower back down onto the mat. Keep your legs as they are. And then start to lift your left leg up into parallel to the mat. So your shin is parallel to the mat. Flex both feet. And then start to lift your arms above your head if you can. Maybe you create the fists again. Or you keep your fingers straight. Hold here. Engage your core. One more. And then slowly release your foot back down. Release your hands behind your back again. Lift your hips up into your reverse tabletop. And then lift your right leg up. Place it next to your left. And come seated back down onto the mat. We do the same again on the other side. So your hands come onto the mat behind you. Fingertips pointing towards the front. Ground into your feet, ground into your hand, and start to lift up your hips. Look towards the front, and then bring some weight into your right foot, and lift your left leg up. Place your ankle onto your right upper thigh, and then maybe release your head towards the back. Hold here. Inhale, come a little higher. And with your exhale, slowly lower down. Your hips come onto the mat or your buttocks, and then start to lift your right leg parallel to the mat. Maybe lift your arms above your head or keep them to your side. Flex both feet. Hold here. Your shoulders are away from your ears. Feel the energy within your solar plexus. And then with your next exhale, slowly release your feet. Release, or your one foot, your hands. Lift your hips up. And then release your left leg next to your right. And come back seated onto the mat. Now cross your feet from underneath you. Take your hands in front of you. Come into a tabletop position. And from here, tuck your toes under and lift up into your downward facing dog. If you want, you can walk your dog a little bit, bending one knee at a time. Adjust your downward facing dog, spread your fingers. Make sure you're correctly aligned here. And then slowly find stillness, take your feet mat width apart. Maybe you want to bend your knees, or you can keep them straight, heels pressing towards the mat. And then start to lift your left hand off the mat and bring it towards your right ankle. Twisting open towards the side, maybe looking through your armpit towards the ceiling. With your next inhale, come back to center. And then directly change into the right hand and left ankle with your exhale. Look through your armpit towards the ceiling or to the side. Inhale back to center. And then step your feet back together. And start to lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring your knee towards your nose. Step in between your hands into a high lunge position. Reach your arms up above your head. Palms come to touch. Lift through the crown of your head, so you're really tall here. Keep your core engaged. Shoulders down. Inhale, lift through your fingertips a little bit higher. Stretch the sides of your body. And with your exhale, open your arms. Rotate your back foot open towards the outward into 90 degrees. Bend into your front knee. Warrior 2 on this side. Virabhadrasana 2. Look over your front fingertips. Make sure you can see your front big toe. Your pelvis is in neutral, so you're not creating a hollow back here. Inhale, reach towards the front. And with your exhale, place your right hand onto the mat or onto a block inside of your right foot. And reach your left arm up towards the ceiling. You can look towards the side or towards your left fingertips. And then imagine that you have a paper in between your right upper arm and your right knee that doesn't want to fall out. So you press your knee and your upper arm together gently to create some heat there. With your inhale, reach your left arm towards the front. And with your exhale, rotate inward so that your back foot is back into a high lunge position. Your right foot is pivoted towards the outside of the mat into a lizard pose position. Your hands are right underneath your shoulders. You can stay here or you can lower your left knee down. Maybe your elbows down so that you're on your forearms. Also here, if you need, use 1 or 2 blocks. And then maybe you shift a little bit front and back to open up your hips a little bit more. And then wherever you are, if you're on your hands or on your forearms, start to lift your right leg up and step it back into a plank position. Now if you are on your hands, then lower down onto your forearms into a forearm plank. Your elbows are underneath your shoulders. And hold here for 5, 4, strong core, 3, strong shoulders. With your next exhale, lift your hips up, come into a dolphin pose, Adha Pincha Mayurasana. Pressing your shoulders behind your elbows. And then inhale, come back into forearm plank. Lower your knees down and release your hips towards your heels into Balasana Child's pose. Keep your arms straight towards the front, engaged. Maybe come onto your fingertips. Ground your third eye into the mat. Maybe roll from side to side for that. Balance out your breath, slow and steady. And bring your hands back onto the mat. Tuck your toes under. And then lift your hips up towards the ceiling into your downward facing dog again. Step your feet mat width apart. We do the twists on this side as well. This time starting by lifting the right hand towards the left ankle, twisting to the left. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale to the right. Can always use the Ujjayi breath, the slight restriction of the throat, throughout all the postures that we go through, to calm down the breath, to soothe the breath. Inhale, come back to center. And then place your feet back together. And with your next inhale, start to lift your left leg towards the ceiling. Heel points up, toes down. Exhale, knee to nose. Step in between your hands into high lunge on this side. Reach your arms up above your head. Palms come to touch. And keep lifting through the crown of your head. Make yourself long. Core is engaged. Inhale, make yourself a little bit longer, lift through your fingertips. And with your exhale, open up into Warrior Two. With the left leg in front, bend into your knee, look that you can see your big toe. And then come onto the outside of your right foot. Feel the energy flowing here on this side. With your next inhale, reach towards the front. And with your exhale, place your left hand onto the inside of your left foot. Your right arm comes up. Again, feel free to use a block here. Open your chest up towards the side. Keep the engagement in your knee and in your upper arm. Inhale your right arm towards the front. And with your exhale, rotate inward with your back foot. Pivot your left foot to the outside of the mat. Take your hands underneath your shoulders. And then either stay here or maybe come onto your forearms or lower your knee down. Maybe do some small movements to open up your hip a little bit further. Try to keep your back straight. And then slowly start to lift your left leg up and place it all the way towards the back of the mat into your forearm plank. This time, exhale, come, lift your hips up into your dolphin pose. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up. Now stay here for 3. And then slowly come back into forearm plank. Lower your knees and sit back down into child's pose. Keep your arms engaged towards the front. Ground your third eye into the mat. Slow down your breath. And then with your inhale, start to walk your hands towards your knees and come into an upright seated position on your heels. Tuck your toes under. And then take your hands into your heart center. Now from here, you can use your hands if you need to, but try to do it first without. Lean back with your upper body so that you come with your weight onto your toes and start lifting off your knees. I'm into a toe squat. And then start to slowly lift up towards Tadasana, mountain pose, into standing. Lower your heels and then adjust your stance so that you're hip distance apart with your feet or your toes touching, heels slightly apart. Take one deep breath here. And then with your next inhale, lower your hands towards the mat, bend your knees, sit back down, and then reach your arms up above your head. Palms come to touch, come into chair pose, sit back down. Your pelvis is tilted towards the front, your core is engaged. Inhale here. And with your exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Now start to bring some weight into your left foot and start to lift your right leg up towards the front. Your foot is flexed, and then bend your knee and place your right ankle onto your thigh into figure 4 again. You can stay here, or you start to lower down with your elbows onto your knee and ankle. Breathe here, look to the front or onto the floor underneath. And then start to lower your hands onto the mat in front of you and start to walk into your downward facing dog. Straighten your left leg, keep your right foot where it is in figure 4. Take a breath here. And then slowly start to lower your left knee down onto the mat. Your right toes and right knee come onto the mat. And then you shift a little bit towards the front, lifting your chest up into cow. And with your exhale, you lift your hips back up towards downward facing dog. Inhale, release your right leg next to your left. Come into your normal downward facing dog. Inhale, start to lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Heel points up, toes down. Exhale, knee to nose, step in between your hands. Now stay here low in your runner's lunge and start to lower your left knee down into low lunge. Anjanasana. Reach your arms above your head. Keep your core engaged. Breathe here. Make sure that your knee is above your ankle. And then inhale a little bit higher. And with your exhale, bring your hands back onto the mat. Rotate your upper body towards the left side. Your back foot comes onto your heel. And then you can place your hands in front of you or take your hands into your heart center. Skandasana, side lunge. And with your inhale, start to straighten your right leg and then bend your left leg, come to the left side. Inhale through center, try to stay low, come to the front. And then inhale, come to center, straighten both legs, bring your toes inward, your heels outward, into a wide-legged forward fold. Maybe you want to massage your lower back a little bit downward to keep that nice fold within your hips. And then release your hands. Take your right hand right underneath your head into the center of your legs. And then reach your left arm up. Straighten both arms. You can stay here or you bind your left arm through your lower back onto your right upper thigh. Inhale, reach your left arm up. Exhale, come back to center. Replace your right hand with your left hand. And reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Maybe bind on this side as well. Take your right hand onto your left upper thigh. Breathe here. Inhale, lift your right arm up. Exhale, come back to center. Now slowly start to roll yourself up into standing vertebra by vertebra. Take one breath here, roll your shoulders back. And then bring your heels slightly inward, reach your arms above your head. And with your exhale, bend your knees, bend your elbows. Come into cactus arms and into goddess pose. Keep your knees above your ankles. Maybe sit a little bit lower. Your pelvis is in neutral again. Lift through the crown of your head. Inhale, reach your arms up, make yourself long. And with your exhale, bring your arms behind your back into prayer pose if you can. Otherwise, you can also place your hands, fingertips pointing upward onto your lower back. And then rotate your right foot towards the front. Rotate your left foot into 45-degree angle. And then rotate your upper body towards the front and fold over your right thigh into pyramid pose. Breathe here. Keep a slight bend in your front knee. Inhale, come back up with your upper body, release your arms, and then exhale, bend your front knee, step your back foot a little bit further towards the back of the mat, and then pivot your right foot to the outside of the mat again. Take your hands in underneath your shoulders. This time stay here on your hands, gently pressing your fingertips into the mat. Look in between your hands or towards the front, opening your throat a little bit. And then slowly start to lift your right leg up and step it all the way towards the back of the mat into high plank. This time stay here for 5. Keep your core engaged, navel towards your spine. Shoulder blades drawing outward. And then with your next exhale, lower your knees, lower your chest and your chin. Inhale, come into a baby cobra, lift your chest up. And with your exhale, come into your Balasana, child's pose. Take a few deep breaths here. With your inhale, walk your hands towards your knees. Come into an upright seated position, onto your heels, tuck your toes under. Take your hands into your heart center and then start to bring some weight into your heels again. Into your toes, start lifting your knees up. Come into a toe squat. Use your core here and then start to lift up into standing Tadasana. Lower your heels down, adjust your stance, and then we move into the other side. So with your inhale, take your hands through the ground all the way up towards the ceiling. Stay in chair pose, Utkatasana, pelvis tucked in, core engaged, shoulders down. Inhale here. And if you exhale, take your hands to your heart center. Now bring some weight into your right foot and start to lift your left leg towards the front. Bend your knee and place your ankle onto your right upper thigh. Keep your foot flexed and then maybe start to lower down with your elbows onto your knee and onto your ankle. Now from here, start to lower your hands onto the mat in front of you and then walk into your downward facing dog. Straighten your right leg. Keep your left foot flexed. And then lower your right knee onto the mat, your left foot and knee, and then shift towards the front. Lift your chest up into cow, look up. And with your exhale, lift your hips back up, come into your downward facing dog. And then release your left leg next to your right. Come into your normal downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, lift your left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose, step in between your hands. Stay in runner's lunge with your hands on the mat and lower your back knee down, untuck your toes, reach your arms up into low lunge. Keep your core engaged. Lift through the crown of your head. Inhale here. Now with your exhale, release your hands onto the mat. Rotate your upper body towards the right. Come onto your heel with your right foot. Take your hands onto the mat underneath or into your heart center. And then with your inhale, start to straighten your left leg and come towards the right side into Skandasana on this side. Inhale through center, all the way towards the left again. And then inhale, straighten both legs, bring both toes a little bit inward, heels outward, and come into a wide-legged forward fold. Put some more weight into your toes, lean a little bit towards the front. And this time directly roll up into standing vertebra by vertebra. Bring your heels inward. Reach your arms above your head. And then with your exhale, bend your elbows into 90 degrees. Bend your knees and come into goddess pose on this side. You can stay here or take your hands behind your back already now. Into prayer pose. Make sure that your knees are above your ankles. Maybe sit a little bit lower down. Keep your rib cage tucked in. Maybe close your eyes. And with your inhale, release your hands again, reach your arms up, make yourself long. And now with your exhale, bring your hands back onto the back of your lower back, either in prayer pose or hands on the lower back, fingertips pointing upward. And then bring your back foot into 45 degree, your front foot pointing to the front of the mat. And then rotate your upper body to the front and lower above your left upper thigh this time. Keep a nice slight bend in your front knee. Maybe this side feels different. That's fine. Our bodies are not the same on each side. So we need to notice and accept that. And that's what we're doing here today. Going through both sides, noticing the differences and accepting the differences that we have. Inhale, come a little bit higher with your upper body. Release your hands. And then exhale, bend your front knee, step your back foot a little bit further back, and pivot your left foot to the outside of the mat. Take your hands in between your feet, right underneath your shoulders. Press your fingertips into the mat gently. Press your palms into the mat. Look towards the front or down. Strong legs. And then start to lift your left leg up and guide it towards the back into a high plank. Now this time, come directly through chaturanga or knee suggestion into baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then come into down dog or child's pose, whichever you prefer, just for 3 breaths. And slowly, if you are in downward facing dog, lower your knees down. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, come into tabletop position. If you're in child's pose, lift your hips up. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, come into tabletop position. Engage your core, bring your navel towards your spine, and then lower your elbows underneath your shoulders, come onto your forearms. Now we're going to go into a first preparatory pose for Sahasara headstand. So you can take your hands into a cup, so interlace your fingers and place this cup onto the mat in front of you, or you bring your palms to touch and place this constellation onto the mat underneath you, and then place the crown of your head onto the mat, tuck your toes under, and then start to lift your hips up. You can stay here or start to walk a little bit further towards the front. Maybe with your hips above your head, above your shoulders. And then maybe do some small little movements to bring some weight into your head and out of your head, into your shoulders, out of your shoulders. Wherever you are, 3 more breaths. And then step your feet towards the back again, if you haven't already, and place your knees onto the mat, untuck your toes, sit back down into child's pose. Take a few balancing breaths here. With your next inhale, come back into your forearm tabletop position. Make sure that your elbows are shoulder width apart. Maybe grab the opposing elbows with your hands and then place your hands back into your forearm tabletop position. Your fingertips gently pressing into the mat. And then start to place the crown of your head onto the mat. Tuck your toes under. Lift your hips up, walk your feet a little bit further towards the front, just 1 step, and then maybe lift one arm up, place it back down, lift the other arm up, place it back down, and if it feels comfortable, reach both arms up and place them back down, and then release your knees one more time. Come into child's pose, place your forehead on the mat. This time grab your heels with your hands. Maybe you already feel some energy flowing into your head, into the crown of your head. With your next inhale, again place your hands in front of you. Lift your head, take your right distance with your elbows, and then place your hands into your cup or into the other variation, into the interlaced fist right in front of you. And then you can now come into headstand Sahasara if you do this practice regularly. Otherwise, you can also take a wall behind you to have a little bit of support behind you in case you are falling and you don't know how to fall. Or you start by placing your head onto the mat. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees up, and then start to walk towards the front again, lifting one leg at a time, then the other leg. And then, as I said, if you feel comfortable, you can lift both legs up towards the ceiling into your headstand. Wherever you are, breathe there for 5. Maybe use your Ujjayi breath if you're in headstand. And with your next exhale, slowly lower back down from wherever you are. And then place your knees onto the mat and come into your child's pose for a few more breaths. Let the energy from your head come all the way back into your whole body. Maybe roll your head from side to side, releasing your neck. And then walk your hands towards your knees. Come into a seated posture again. Cross your feet from underneath and bring your legs in front of you. Maybe sit into the center of the mat so you can easily roll down onto your back. Take your hands towards the front or underneath your knees. And then vertebra by vertebra, come back down. Maybe engage your core one more time here. And when you reach the mat with the back of your head, take your knees towards your chest. Rock from side to side again. Massaging your spine, massaging your lower back. And then find stillness, interlace your hands around your right shin. Extend your left leg towards the front and down. And then extend your right leg towards the ceiling. Either grab your thigh, your shin, or your big toe. Keep both shoulders on the mat. Keep both hips on the mat. Your left hand on your left hip. You can also slightly bend your knee here if you want. And then gently pull towards your chest. And with your next inhale, rotate your knee outward, your toes outward a little bit, and open up your hip towards the side. Now try to keep both hips on the mat. If you can, then come out of it a little bit again and try to go in again. With your next inhale, come slowly back to center. And then bend your right knee, bend your left knee towards your chest. And then interlace your hands around your left shin. Extend your right leg towards the front and down. Extend your left leg up towards the ceiling. Grab your thigh, your shin, or your big toe. Place your right hand onto your right hip. And then gently pull towards your chest. Both shoulders on the mat. Now with your inhale, rotate your knee outward, rotate your toes towards the ceiling, towards the floor, and then open up your hip on this side. Keep both hips on the mat, both shoulders on the mat. Inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, bend your knee, bend both knees towards your chest. Do whatever movement you need. Maybe draw some circles with your knees or come into a happy baby. And then bring your knees back together. Lift your head towards your knees. Make yourself into a tiny little ball. Hug your shins. Inhale here. Hold your breath. And with your exhale, release yourself all the way onto the mat underneath. Release your legs, your arms. Release your feet, let them fall outward. If you want, grab a blanket to pull over. Grab some socks. And then let your breath guide you deeper into your Shavasana, into your relaxation. And while your body gets heavy, try to notice any tension, any sensation within your body. I invite you to start walking through your body, starting with your toes and feet first, and then moving upward through your legs. releasing any tension on the way until you come towards your hips. And notice how you can feel your buttocks crowning into the mat, but also how you can feel your hip bones, even though they're not touching any ground, any floor. And through your pelvic floor and womb, move up your spine, further towards your navel. To your ribs, to your chest and shoulder blades. All the way up to your collarbones and shoulders. And then move down each arm. Maybe first going through the right arm. And then through the left arm. And come back to your shoulders. And move up the spine, through your neck and your throat. Maybe lengthen your neck by bringing your chin towards your chest a little bit. Release your jaw, your tongue. Feel into the back of your head. Into your eyelids. Let them get heavier. The space between your eyebrows. Release. Until you reach the crown of your head. Maybe imagine that space, the crown of your head, the top of your head, vibrating in a nice, vibrant light, spreading all across your mind, your head. Creating a protective shield all around your body, down to your fingertips and toes. Bring your awareness back towards your breath. And how the breath moves up and down your spine. Bringing energy into your body from the root all the way to the crown of your head. And then slowly start to bring some movement into your fingers and into your toes. Maybe rotate your hands and feet. And then reach your arms above your head, make yourself long. Maybe stretch from side to side. Bring your knees towards your chest, make yourself small again. And then roll onto one side, whichever side comes first. Take a moment there. Maybe connect back to your intention from the beginning of the class. And then find your way back into your physical body, into your surroundings. Ground your upper hand into the mat and gently press yourself up into a seated posture. Keep your eyes closed for a moment and take your hands to your heart center. Allow yourself to be grateful for the practice today. Maybe one more time, feel into the crown of your head. Make yourself long, lift your spine. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. This was the 7-week journey of the 7 main chakras. I hope to see you soon